good morning, or whatever time it is where you are. The reading that we're doing today is for those of you who feel like you still haven't found the right partner or relationship, no matter what your path has looked like. So I want to look into any blocks or what might be in the way, how to clear that and move forward toward what you want in relationship. If you choose an option today and you're finding that it just doesn't feel right as you're watching or listening, don't be afraid to try another. You could also be drawn to more than one reading today. So let's take a look at your options. For group 1, we have Malachite. For group 2, we have Prehnite. For group 3, we have Golden Healer Quartz. Okay, take all the time you need to choose. Meet me in your reading when you're ready. Hi, group 1. You chose the Malachite. Welcome to your reading. We are looking at any blocks to the right partnership for you today. I want to start with a bit of an energy check, and then we'll dive further into what may be going on and what to do about it. I've pulled your cards. I'm going to go ahead and lay them out. So the next thing you will see is them all ready, and we'll get into the reading. Okay, so we have all of your cards ready here. So I want to, like I said, start with a bit of an energy check, see what you have been dealing with recently or for a long while to ensure that this feels like a group that has messages for you. So we have these 3 cards on the left: career, ladder, climbing towards success; Tiger, doing something risky, taking a chance. And we have this 2 of Wands, your decisions decide your future here, nothing else. Okay. Well, sometimes I have to laugh because there's so much obviousness. Right up here at the top, we have career, and then we have climbing the ladder, and we have the 2 of Wands, which can also be around career. So some of you certainly have been very, very focused on work and career. And this came up in another recent reading lately as well. So some of you may be in this group. So I would say that whether or not you have been concerned about your love life, you've been putting more energy into your career. It could also be school if you are retired. It could be your hobbies or your projects. But for most of you, I would say it's your job or your career or even starting a business. And so you're putting a ton of your energy into this. Like it's either taking up a lot of your time, or this is where you're putting your focus. And it feels like for a lot of you, you're putting your focus here. So whether this is something you're passionate about, or it's just easier to put your energy there rather than worrying about things you can't control. But you're moving towards success in these areas. So I wouldn't say that this group necessarily has just like a job that feels like it's not going anywhere, that you don't have any aspirations, that most of your energy is in other areas of your life. Then this probably isn't your group and you should try another one. But I don't know if you're at the beginning of your career, or you're trying something new, or you're finally deciding you want to move into like management and leader and those kinds of roles. But I do think there's definitely people here starting their own business or making big moves in this. And with this desk in the career card, it just it keeps making me think of like a sewing machine. And I know that's not what it is, but I think some of you are doing really creative things that you want to make money from, or you want to put a lot more of your energy in. So it doesn't necessarily have to be career. It could be that you're just putting a lot more of your focus into creating. And it could be things that you're sewing. It could be clothing, but it could be jewelry making or woodworking or cooking or anything creative. It's interesting that so much of your energy is going there because it really feels like you're either not thinking about love really, or you're trying not to. But this 2 of Wands, even though it can be a career card or a project card, it does feel like we have this little candle here with two flames, okay? And this like hopeful person staring at it. And it kind of feels like, regardless of where you're putting your energy or your time, or maybe trying not to think about love, it still sneaks up on you. Like maybe you watch a movie and the chemistry between like the two characters that are in some kind of romantic entanglement. It's like, oh, well, I want that. Like, or you have friends that are dating and they're having a good time. And it's like something about like seeing other relationships or remembering what could be and what you want does sneak up on you, even as you put your energy in other places. And so, it's still in the background there, that hope of like having the world with somebody and having somebody for the long term. I do get some Capricorn vibes, even though I don't have any good reason for that. You could also be born in the year of the tiger. I don't have the years for that, but yeah, I think you just keep trying to put your energy in other places, but there's still this hope, and it's this vibe of wanting the long term and wanting someone who can match you, who can go the distance, and who will be very supportive of your ambitions, whether they are career or otherwise, and someone who will really bring balance into your life, because I think that maybe you're very tired of doing things on your own. And not that you don't have any help, you might not. I mean, you might have family or friends or other people that are helpful, but you may live alone, or you may feel like you're having to carry the load of things alone, or it's just you want partnership. And I think that you really want commitment from somebody who's very serious, because I think there is a serious quality to you, whether people would describe you that way or not. I think that you really commit to things when you're going to commit, and you want someone who's willing to do the same thing. And you have this vision of what you want in relationship. And so I think also this group is really not going to settle. You are not, maybe you have settled in the past, but you don't want to settle now. You want to settle down with somebody, but you don't want to settle for someone that's not going to match you. And, if you make a lot of money, for example, you may not want to be with someone who doesn't make any money. It's like you want some kind of like equality a little bit. Someone who also is perhaps ambitious or motivated or inspired or interested in the same things you are, and who also takes relationship and life somewhat seriously. I do think there's certainly people in this group that have been single a long time. And I'm not surprised that would show up in this reading. There's probably people who just keep finding the wrong person. But I think that, a lot of you just have been single a long time, or you don't give very extensive chances to the people that come your way, because you can tell right away it's not right. And I think that you have a really good idea of what's going to be right for you and what's not. And I think that some of you certainly feel like you wonder if what you want is possible, or if it will come your way, or if your expectations are too high. I think some of you have definitely been told that you have too high of expectations, you're too picky. Maybe you've made a list of what you're looking for in a partner or a relationship, and you shared that with someone and they were like, my God, that's too many things to expect. Like somehow I think you're being shamed for what you want. And that really feels pretty unfair to me, actually, because I don't think that you're asking for too much. And I really get this energy with this group that you have a lot to offer. And so it wouldn't be fair for you to be with someone who doesn't have much to offer. There's so many people out there in the world dating and being in relationships who really shouldn't be. And I think that you're very aware that you know what you want, and someone needs to match you on some level. Let's actually get into, with these cards here, more around the blocks or what could be preventing you from having what you're wanting. See if it's maybe a more internal or external issue, or both, and where it may be coming from. And then we'll get into more about what to do about it, how to clear it, etc. So let's see what the blocks are. And we have this Magician card, we have the Moon, the Five of Pentacles, and the Seven of Swords. Okay, well, The first thing that is coming to mind as I take a look at these cards is like trust issues. And, I was thinking about this the other day, how like I've always felt like I had trust issues. And then when I was out of certain circumstances and situations, and when I didn't have certain people in my life, suddenly I didn't really have trust issues. And I still think that, for me personally, I can be slow to trust for good reason. And I think that that might be the case for you, where it could be the same thing, where you feel like you have trust issues because of things that you've dealt with, situations you've been in, people that you're surrounded by. And that it may be for a very good reason, and that it's really less about you and more about the circumstances you've been in. With this 5 of Pentacles and the 7 of Swords, I certainly think that you've been involved with people either romantically or maybe when you were a child and in your family where you felt very alone, like you had to deal with issues on your own. Often we see with the 5 of Pentacles being left out in the cold in some way, feeling isolated, feeling like you didn't have any help when hard things came your way. And there's such a loneliness in these cards of feeling like there should be someone else here or other people helping you. And there isn't. You're doing it all on your own. And there's only so much you can carry. There's only so much you can do on your own. And I really feel that you've been disappointed by people in the past, or even in the recent past, or even currently. I do feel a lot of independent energy with this group, a lot of self-sufficiency, which is both of those things are wonderful. But as you know, they can grow into a situation where it's less healthy, because when you feel like you can only depend on yourself, you can go to a bit of an extreme. And I do think some of you are feeling quite lonely, and it's not your fault at all. But I think some of it may be that you've grown into such an extremely self-sufficient person that you may be quite guarded. You may not be letting other people in or not letting them help you. And you may be thinking like, I don't have anyone to help me. I have to do it on my own. And that may very well be true for you. But sometimes we don't realize that there are people there that actually are available to help us, that would like to help us. I've had circumstances in the past where, because I am a very independent, self-sufficient person, where I felt like I didn't have anyone to help me. And I had things I needed help with. Like it got to the point where I guess the universe was like, you need to figure this out, because it was like, I can't do this on my own. I literally need someone to help me with this. And I panicked, I didn't want to ask anybody for help. Like the people I had asked didn't want to help me. I felt very alone during this time. And then I discovered that I actually had people in my life who not only were very willing to help me, they wanted to help me. And I realized too that there were people in my life that, were just really wonderful, supportive people that I knew they were there. I loved them, I cared for them, but I didn't see it until I had to see it. And so, that could be the case for you, where you feel more alone than you actually are. And so there's a little bit of a block there, because it's like your vision is it's like you have a, something over your eyes, preventing you from seeing clearly what's in front of you, who's there to help you. I think that there's something here for you around the fact that you're not seeing something that's right there. And this isn't even about partnership. It's not even about romantic relationship. It's about your own beliefs, because I think that either people have treated you like a burden over and over again, or you had to do so much on your own when you were a kid. Maybe you were an only child and both of your parents were at work a lot, or you got in trouble all the time. So you were always like grounded or stuck in your room, or your parents were going through issues, so they didn't have the emotional capacity for you. Or once you hit like adulthood and you had struggles, it was like, there's no one to help me with this. There's something here with you where you have felt very alone. And I can understand that feeling, because I have felt that way too. I don't know why I feel like I need to keep telling you about my own life, but I guess in some way I want you to feel less alone because, yes, you have been, but it's not just you. And that I think that this is really coming to the forefront in this reading because this is not meant to be your life. You are not meant to feel alone, do everything on your own for the rest of your life. You're just not. And I think that's, you have this longing for relationship or partnership or connection with other people, whether it's romantic or not, because you're meant to have that. Because I feel that even if you were kind of a hermit, even if you like to spend a lot of your time alone, you are still someone that is community minded in some way, someone who still needs and wants relationships. And I think that you have some probably, but yeah, it just feels like you've had to do so much on your own, even with this Magician card. And there's something about distortions with both this moon and this Magician. It's like she's painting this, landscape that's right in front of her. But a painting is never exact. Even the most like hyper realistic paintings, it's not a photograph. It might look like one, but there's a distortion in a way because we all have our own perspectives. We may think we see the same things, but if we were put into each other's brains, we'd probably realize it's not quite the same. And so I think that there's something here with you and with the moon being about illusions sometimes and deception and maybe even self-deception is that it's pointing to, again, the fact that like your perspective and your beliefs about something regarding relationships and yourself has been a little bit distorted. And it's not your fault, but it's coming through because it's something that could be worked with. But I just feel such a bit of a heartbroken feeling here with you. And I don't know if you have had, I think there are certainly people in this group that have had very challenging relationships, whether it's family or romantic or even friendship. I just feel this pain of being too alone and feeling like you can't trust or connect with other people. Some of you may connect more with nature than you do with other people, or you may feel more at peace when you're like in a forest or by a body of water, and that your anxiety maybe kicks up when you have to be around people more. There's an introversion that's coming through for a lot of you. And even if you work with people and stuff like that, I think that certainly you have time where you need to be alone for your battery to kind of fill back up. And there's a hypervigilance that I'm noticing with some of you too. So again, you likely had some situations when you were young that caused some of this to come to be. And so also I want to say that you are not the reason things haven't worked out for you in love. Okay. Just because we're talking about your beliefs and your perspective and stuff like that and how it's coming through as blocks, it's not your fault. It's just a part of something that you're dealing with, and that, in a way you may not be seeing clearly who would be healthy for you and who wouldn't be. And maybe you've been working on some of this, and maybe that's why it's coming forward, whether you're doing some kind of like trauma work or parts work or inner child work or something, therapy or hypnotism, whatever it is for you, you may already be kind of like bringing these things to the surface, but there's such an aloneness, and with the moon, again, I feel this like wishing, this kind of background secret wishing to be in a happy partnership, to feel like you have someone else to depend on, that you're not responsible for every single thing. I do feel sadness with you, and I wonder if you try to remove yourself from the sadness by focusing on things like work or projects. I think some of you may not even be fully aware of the sadness if you have pushed your emotions down, or maybe that sadness has been coming to the surface recently and things feel kind of unfair. And I think that some of you may wonder sometimes why it's so easy for other people. And I think that, we all have things in life that are easier for us and other things that are a little bit more of a challenge. But, again, I keep getting like kind of earth sign, Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo energy, even though we don't have a lot of earth technically in these cards. And that doesn't have to be in your chart, but kind of this slower energy where it feels like either you've been a late bloomer in life or things have been slower to come your way, where it feels like everyone else has everything else figured out and like you're like, it's taken me this long. Like you're like, why am I 45 and I've only started to finally get to a place that all my friends were in when they were 25. It's something like that where it feels like in certain ways in your life, you're either a late bloomer or things go more slowly for you and you wonder if they're ever going to work out. And I want to be your friend and hang out with you so that you feel safe, but I can't do that for everybody. But I think that the blocks really are more internal with you. There's so much independence with you, which is such a beautiful quality that you will have with you for a long time. But I think that you would very easily help another person out. And yet you feel like there's sometimes no one there for you. And I do think some of you have had relationships that were really not good and you've had to sort of pack it up and go on your own in order for self-preservation reasons or self-protection. And that you've learned lessons of not giving your all to certain people. And so maybe you've kind of become a hermit when it comes to love because you've learned not to trust people because people have not been trustworthy. So you lean on yourself. And I do think with the moon here, there could be quite a lot of anxiety with some of you where you're a little bit more anxious than the average person, or you have anxiety when it comes to forming new relationships. And again, I don't think this is just romantic. I think that this could be for friendships as well. I just have this like strange feeling where I want to just look at your entire life and validate every single thing that has happened to you, help you to feel understood, because I think that there's been a lack of understanding for your story. And it makes me really sad, but I think that we've kind of got the vibe here. So let's move into these cards here on the right and talk about what you might do about this, what you might need to know about moving forward in your love life, if there's anything to clear, anything to heal, etc. So we're getting some guidance, some advice for you. So we have, with these seahorses, we have amble with contentment. Waiting rather than acting is going to be most advantageous now. We have Lemurian quartz, practice patience. We have, these are so similar. We have the moon. Again, we have another moon card. And it says taking time for deep self-reflection is essential. And we have strength. It takes great strength to be soft. Okay. I know I've already pulled these cards, but I don't really look at them until it's time for the reading. And so I'm always kind of surprised sometimes. So it's so interesting because we have all this energy of just slow down, be patient, don't worry too much about it. And that may not be what you want to hear because, again, if it's been a really long time since you've been in a relationship or you've never been in a positive relationship and it feels like life is just moving on and everybody has all this and you're just like, okay, me? When do I get mine? It may be the last thing you want to hear, to be patient, to amble with contentment, and to wait. And to be self-reflective and to be still alone because we see these figures kind of on their own. She's got a cat, but basically, I think what you're really being told is that while some things are coming up as quote unquote blocks, it feels like you are right on target. So while it may not feel that way to you, and I understand, you are not in the wrong place. You are not holding this back from happening. There is a slower energy here, and that is annoying. I'll admit it. Nobody likes to hear it, okay? It's reassurance that you're not doing anything wrong, that this is not a problem that lies within you. This is coming forward to be seen and worked on and to like take the blindfold off. But you are not preventing this from happening. You know, for some of you, this might have been part of the life path that you planned out before you came into this life. You may have wanted to accomplish things in, say, career or other areas of your life first, because that also sets you up for the kind of long-term commitment you want. You may have chosen your childhood or chosen certain relationships in order to learn certain lessons about yourself and the world and other people. And, you know, sometimes it's like, well, you know, I'm fully cooked. I'm done. I'm ready. And then you go through things and you realize, well, maybe I wasn't as ready as I thought I was. And it's not that like you are going to go your whole life just learning lessons and then you're going to be 85 and you'll finally meet your match. No, but there's still an energy of waiting here, because what it feels like is that things are being developed in the background, that everything that you want and need in relationship is being worked on by the angels, worked on by the spirit guides in the background. Because while the other person's energy isn't here, it does feel like you and another person you're going to be with are sort of maybe going through parallel things right now. And so as you go through these parallel things, you both kind of move up the ladder into a space where you're both ready for the right kind of commitment together. And then instead of moving parallel, you start to move together. So part of it is that you work on your stuff, okay? You kind of bring up to the surface whatever is within you that makes you feel like you can only depend on yourself. Whatever pains have come through your family or romantic or friendship relationships. You continue to rely on yourself while seeing that other people are out there for you too. Ask other people for help. Allow other people to help you. Allow other people in. But sometimes we have these waiting periods, is what it feels like. You're kind of in a waiting room you don't want to be in, but it's the only way to get to where you want to go. So you just have to kind of be patient and do your thing. And it's like, okay, like you're in a waiting room. You don't know if you're going to wait 5 minutes or 3 hours. So, you know, after 5 minutes, you realize you're still waiting. You grab a magazine and look at it, or you look at your phone. So you can distract yourself. That's fine. But there's also some information here about being soft. And I do think some of you have a softness to you in general, like when you're alone especially, but I wonder if there are some hard edges when you're around other people, or people perceive you as quite serious, or they perceive you as closed off or cold. Even when you thought you were being warm, you may have had people be like, why are you so cold? Like that's how you come across. That's not going to be for everybody, but it might be the case. But if that feels true for you, it may be a good time while you're waiting for the right person to work on sort of loosening up those hard edges, allowing people in a little bit more, allowing yourself to sort of be your most vulnerable self around others. And very quickly, you'll be able to tell whether someone is accepting and open to that or not. And so also, if you don't already have pets, you might consider getting a pet because that might soften you up as well. But I don't know. For some reason, I think that you've been judged or hurt or abandoned in ways that have made you put up some walls. And I think that you've got a great emotional depth. And whether you feel or show those emotions or not, they seem to be there. So if you have been stamping down your emotions, or you think like, oh, I never cry, like I couldn't cry if I wanted to, or anything like that, it may be time to sort of open the floodgates, let that stuff come up and come forward so that you can release some stuff, you know. And the moon here too makes me think about your deep, deep emotions. I think that you have quite a lot of intuitive ability, quite a lot of emotions. There may certainly be water in your chart as well. I mean, you could have any signs, but, you know, Pisces or Cancer come to mind with the moon. And I think that, I mean, she's journaling here, or this person is journaling. So it may be worth like starting, like if you If you do relate to not really showing your emotions, writing things out can sometimes bring that stuff to the surface. Even if all you have right now is anger, you're like, I'm pissed off. Well, write about that. And then you may notice there's some other stuff going on too. Or I'm really anxious, write about that. Or I'm really whatever. So you may consider writing things out, and that will sort of bring things up. And you may be like, no, I'm not hard-edged, like everything else related, but I'm emotional. That's a good thing. Keep letting those things be forward, because there's some release that is needing to happen while you sort of move through this energy. And it's not that this is still necessarily going to take a long time to come to fruition. But again, we have this information about being patient and waiting. And, rather than acting, waiting is going to be most advantageous. So if you've been thinking, well, I'm ready for a partner, I'm going to go ahead and start putting myself out there. I'm going to, go to groups, or I'm going to go to classes, or I'm going to go online dating, whatever. That might not be the thing right now. Like, I'm not going to tell you to not do that if that's what you feel like is right for you. But for some of you, you think that like, that's going to, change everything for me. That's going to bring in what I want if I just put myself out there, because I keep being told I need to put myself out there, but you don't want to, then listen to what you don't want to do, because some of you are not meant to be doing that right now. It's more that you're supposed to just kind of work on the things you want to work on your own stuff, kind of let stuff come forward and out, and then just keep moving forward. And if you haven't really been struggling, if everything's been mostly okay, but you just want that relationship, amble with contentment. Just kind of move slowly along with that peaceful, sort of happy feeling. There's no rushing here. Don't try to rush this, because it's not going to change anything. And I hate having to relay that information. I hate when I get that kind of information in a reading, but sometimes it is out of our control. And we may like to try to take control because it's like, well, I want this thing. Let me go do it. Sometimes it's not the time. Sometimes it's time to just work on your inner peace and your own inner healing. There's nothing here that tells me you're not going to have what you want. I actually have a strong feeling that you will have what you want, but it's not time yet. And that's part of the block as well, is divine timing, which nobody ever likes to hear. I get it. Okay. I agree. I don't like to hear it either. But sometimes that's what comes up. Do the things that feel happy to you right now, that feel peaceful to you, whether that's spending time in nature, spending time with certain people you do really care about, spending time working on projects, healing, self-reflecting, all of those things. Because I think too, this peacefulness that you are getting to, and some of you may have already started to get to a place of peace, this peacefulness and this freedom that you will feel internally, and this trust that you have for yourself, where it doesn't close you off to trusting other people. This is all going to culminate in a wonderful long-term partnership with someone else who may have done similar work or is in a similar place, whether they've had to do the work or not. So there is preparation happening. It's like, when you bake bread and you have to let it like sit and rise, and then you knead it and you let it sit longer. It's like you're kind of in these stages where it's like you're in between things. Like you're not at the beginning anymore, but you're not at the end where the bread is ready to eat. You're somewhere in the middle where things are sort of working in the background and preparing for like the most delicious bread. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's all I have for you today, Group 1. And I'm sorry that you still have to wait. I wish I could give you a big hug. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this reading was helpful to you, please do let me know by leaving a comment, even just liking the video. And I will see you again soon. Okay, bye. Hi, Group 2. You chose the pre-night. Welcome to your reading. We're looking at any blocks to the right partnership for you today. So I want to start with an energy check. That way you'll know whether or not it's your group, hopefully. And then we'll dive further into what may be going on and what to do about it. So I've already pulled your cards. I'm going to go ahead and lay them out. So the next thing you will say is them already, and then we'll get into your reading. Okay? Okay. We've got your cards all ready, Group 2. So like I said, I want to do a bit of an energy check, see what you've been dealing with recently or for a long while. And then we'll get into what might be blocking or preventing you from having what you're wanting. And then guidance, advice, kind of what to do about it. So let's start on the left. So we have casket here, someone going out of your life or the end of a situation. Dagger, fear, worries, tense situations. We have heart, love, deep affection, and caring. And we have the the Nine of Swords. We all get a bit carried away with our worry sometimes. But Nine of Wands would be fitting here as well. So, group 2, it has not been easy for you recently or in your love life forever, possibly. So that should be an initial confirmation for you. Yeah. Okay. So let's pick some of these up so I can focus on them here. All right. Well, I would say that some of you have very recently gotten out of a very painful situation, a very painful relationship. I just feel like, and fear and anxiety here. So I think that some of you, and bear with me because there may be a few scenarios here, but I think that some of you have been dealing with someone that has not been very healthy for you. I'm not saying that this person is bad, but I am saying that for those of you that relate to this, it's been very, very painful because whatever's been happening with this person has caused a great deal of anxiety and worry. So I don't know if you've been dealing with a romantic relationship where someone was cheating, lying, did things to betray you or betray your trust in some way. Somebody that you really probably felt a lot for or really had high hopes for. This doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. It could be someone else in your life, but certainly someone that has been affecting your sleep, your ability to rest, probably affecting your physical health. Anxiety and stress is going to do that, but whatever you've dealt with somebody has maybe been causing you to have more health problems recently as well. I think that you probably haven't been looking your best either. You're maybe more kind of gray or pale, or you're having skin problems, or your hair is dry or whatever. I do think you're having some physical effects, but I think that some of you have recently ended a situation, or you've been wondering if you should, because it certainly doesn't feel like they're your long-term partner, because someone that you're meant to be with in the long term wouldn't do these things. For some of you, it's not that this is happening right now. It could be more that you've dealt with these things in the past, tense situations, people that caused you anxiety and worry, people that made you feel like you were all alone, when you have put in your open-hearted, warm, kind, compassionate love and care. And whether that comes through as being very affectionate or just being very generous and giving or very open, somehow you have this big heart, whatever way that it shows up, whether it shows up in a classic way or in a more unique way. You're a very loving and giving person, especially when you really care about somebody or you feel loyal to them. And it feels like this group has just not gotten the same in return. And so part of the issue here for you is that you keep opening up your heart to people, or maybe just once, but it feels like it's repetitive for some of you, that it's a cycle, a pattern, and you're wondering, like, you keep thinking about this and wondering what it is. And I think that you keep maybe blaming yourself and wondering what it is that causes people to keep hurting you, to keep walking out of your life, to keep leaving you on your own, because whether or not they have been like toxic or betrayed you or whatever, it does seem like there's been endings, either a recent ending or a really big serious ending, or there have just been so many endings like we see in this Nine of Swords. And again, it's affecting you. It's affecting you physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Like it does feel very sad. It feels painful. You've certainly been through some pain when it comes to relationships and your hopes being dashed. And again, I think you keep opening yourself back up and opening yourself back up, and you have hope and hope and hope and hope. And then the door keeps getting slammed in your face, or you're having to slam it in somebody else's face. Yeah, I feel really sad for what you're going through here. And I feel that you are so capable of so much love, and it just doesn't make any sense. And so you're wondering, am I the problem? Am I choosing the wrong people? Is something about me broken? Why do I keep giving the wrong people chances? And it may not even be that people have been awful to you. It could be that you keep opening yourself up to new people, and then they're like, nope. They ghost, they disappear, they don't want to proceed. And it makes you wonder why, because we hear these things about like, well, if something keeps happening, the problem must be us. And yeah, there can be something within us that can be adjusted and fixed, but also there's a lot of like damaged people in the world. And like, I guess I shouldn't say it that way. People with trauma, people with their own issues. And so, yeah, sometimes there is something within you. We'll take a look. And sometimes it's just the fact that there's a whole lot of people out there with trauma that don't know how to treat people well. And even if, there hasn't been anyone bad, but it just keeps not working out, you keep wondering why. Like, is it me? Is it me? Is it me? And I think that you've just unfortunately been in a cycle with people that just aren't right. I don't know. We'll see if there's something within you that can be adjusted. But I do think, with the Nine of Swords, this can keep you up at night. But it also could cause a lot of overthinking, a lot of overanalyzing, and you just trying to figure it out. Because at this point, I think you're tired. You're done. You don't want to keep having this cycle. You want the Lovers, which we're going to get to. This isn't like about what you want, but still, it's right here. I don't know. I just have this feeling that like, yes, we'll look and see if it's related to your own stuff, but I don't think you've deserved this. So let's move into the blocks. What might be preventing you from having what you're wanting? Is it more internal, external, both, where it might come from? And then we'll come over here to like what you're guided to do. So we have the Eight of Cups, the Lover. Oh my God, we have the Lovers twice. Okay, so we have the Lovers, and we have the Hermit. What are your blocks right now in this area? All right. Okay. Some of you are giving people too many chances. Okay. With your big, big heart and your big capacity for love and this desire to be in love and to be with the right person. If you're someone where this doesn't look, again, I do think there's some people here where things don't show up in a classic way. Like the way that you love isn't in a classic way. The way you want love isn't in a classic way. And that's okay. So if I'm saying things that don't perfectly vibe with that, don't be afraid to just take the things that make sense. But with this Eight of Cups, it really, really feels like you give people way too many chances, or you have in the past and you have realized that. I don't usually get that with this card, but the way this figure is walking off and we have these 8 cups, but they're right here still like engaged with these cups. It's like, sometimes that it is time to walk away. You have an intuitive feeling that this isn't going well for you. You have this many times where this person did this same thing, but I think that you are a very hopeful person, that you really give the benefit of the doubt, that you really think that people can change. And so you really do give them chances, which is a beautiful quality. Okay. But I think that sometimes it gets to the point where, yes, maybe you give people 2 or 3 chances, but to give them 8 chances, that might be too many, and you may have already realized this about yourself or the situations you've been in, but I think that you really see potential. And because you believe in a person's potential, you know that it is possible for them to reciprocate. You know that it's possible for them to tell the truth, to show up, to be wonderful. And yet they haven't reached that potential. And I think that you're not meant to deal with potential anymore. Yes, when you're first getting to know someone, we don't have all of those answers. But once it has been proved to you a couple of times, even though it hurts because you have become a little bit attached, or you have all this hope or this optimism for this person, or you really, really like them and you can see a potential wonderful future, then it's time to walk away, and more quickly. I think sometimes you're slow to walk away because maybe even because you're really attracted to somebody, or you really love certain things about this person. And I think you may get either attached easily, or once you start to get attached, you form strong bonds. And so then it can be really hard to break them because it's so incredibly painful. And so sometimes I think a part of it is that you see this potential and you have this hope, and you also don't want to go through that incredibly deep pain of breaking a bond with someone that you now like or love or care about. So this is so understandable. And yet a really big thing here is that you can't give people unlimited chances, because people are proving to you when they're not ready. We have this lover's energy. Lovers is long-term. It is commitment. It is making a clear choice to pursue a path, whether that is a person or something else. It is, in it for the long haul, working together, equality. And I think that you've been dealing with people who don't have that mindset, even if that's what they say or think that they want. They're showing you and proving to you over and over that they're not capable of it. And I think that you are very capable of it. And so I think that it's not necessarily for you that you have one person out there who you're meant to be with, or maybe you have a soul contract with someone, maybe you don't. I think that there are actually a lot of people that exist out in this world that could be really good partners for you. But it's about choosing yourself more. And, with this hermit, going within a little bit more and discovering, okay, what's going on within me that I'm continuing to give a lot of people chances. And this is not me saying that there is something wrong with you, or that it's more about discovering and bringing light to a situation so that you don't continue to choose things that are not in your best favor. It's time for you to make choices that are more aligned with you. And in a way, it may feel kind of selfish. That's okay, actually, because you're allowed to make choices and bring energies and people into your life that are in it for the long haul, that can offer what you offer, that can love like you love. You're not meant to stand alone. You have so much energy here of having strong connection, one-on-one connection to other people. And I think this extends past romantic relationships and into the other relationships in your life as well, platonic ones. And so I really get this feeling that you are very loyal, that you really will put in the work for the long haul, that you have a lot of love to give, and that you're very warm-hearted. I think that sometimes you're not seen correctly. It almost looks like this rabbit on this card is like a little ghost. And so it's like, not only do you maybe deal with ghosting from people, but that people are not seeing you as the solid person that they are. It's like they're not seeing you clearly. They're not seeing all that you offer. And so you do need to walk away. And I think there's more. This wasn't meant to be advice, but there is advice in these cards. And with both of these cards, like the back of these figures is turned toward us. And so it feels like, again, this is another indication that you've got to walk away from people faster, ghost them. And not really, like, I'm not saying someone pours their heart out and you just never answer them, but you make the decision. This isn't working. I've got to turn my back. I've got to say, this is it. I'm not going to move toward this anymore. If you have to block in order to protect yourself because you'll want to answer them if they reach out, then you've got to do things like that. This is really about choosing yourself. And I think that for some of you, there may be a little bit of a worth issue here. Again, this is not a problem about you. This is other people taught you that you don't have the worth and value that you have. So even if you do believe in your value, there may be something there that's a little subconscious around feeling like other people, because clearly you are feeling like other people don't value you. So even if you think you are valuable, if you know you are worthy, there's maybe something a little bit less conscious that is directing some of this, because there seems to be a little bit of energy where you are trying to prove your worth to other people or get other people to see your worth. The thing is, if they're not going to see your worth, that is a problem with them. And that doesn't have anything to do with you. It seems to be for some reason that you blame yourself sometimes. That's not fair to you. I don't think in this case, like, yes, we all do things wrong. Okay. I think we should take accountability for the things that we do, but I think you're blaming yourself to a degree that you don't deserve, or other people have laid the blame at your feet and you've taken it on because you're like, yeah, probably is me. I probably did something. I don't think you did. Okay. I think that other people have been very hurtful because they have issues and they're not seeing you for your value and your worth because of their own shit, not because of you. And I think that in some ways you've maybe tried to prove your value, and maybe you've overgiven in order to prove how valuable you are, and that they just like took it and treated you the same way. Because again, it's their problem. It's not yours. The right person will see and love and appreciate your value. And I just think that you deserve so much better than what you've dealt with, and that you know that deep down. And I think that, you know, with this particular lovers, again, we have this energy of you really believing in other people's potential. And it's beautiful. And it can be harmful because a lot of people don't live up to their potential. And I think sometimes you really see the good in others. You really see like, you're like, well, yeah, they lied, but they had a good reason for it, I think. And like, you know, they're so wonderful. They're so fun and funny, and they can be so kind and nice. And they did this really nice thing for me the other day. But it's like, you're seeing all these good things, which is great. Like looking on the bright side of life, the bright side of other people is, again, such a wonderful, beautiful quality that you have. But again, I think it's causing a little bit of illusions here, because sometimes we do need to look at the bad, the negative about another person, because allowing people to get close to us is something that we need to take a little bit seriously sometimes, especially when you've been hurt. So not everyone deserves your loyalty, and just because they have wonderful qualities doesn't mean they should be let in or that they should be given more chances. Everybody has wonderful qualities. I mean, I'm sure there's a couple people out there who don't. But people are complex. We all have good and bad. Okay? You can always find the wonderful, beautiful qualities in another person. But if you choose to see those more so than the bad, you may end up in these same situations. Sometimes it is worth bringing the bad forward, not to like be pessimistic, not to not give anyone a chance or be too guarded, but to say, okay, these things don't feel good. How serious are they? Do they continue to happen? How do they make me feel? Let me get all the good stuff out of the way. Let me get away from, you know, how fun they are to talk to, how much I love them, how like sweet they are. Let me push all that out of the way for a second and look at the things that they are doing that are not good, because that needs to be sometimes the most important thing when you make a choice. Again, the lovers can be about a choice or a decision about who to move forward, who to give your vulnerability and your trust to, and who to be in it with the long haul, because it's important that you choose someone who is going to be reciprocal with you, who is also going to have a strong level of love and care and respect for you. And just because someone's wonderful doesn't mean that they're respectful, doesn't mean that they see your worth and your value. You know what I mean? So this card I pulled to see, you know, if we can get a little bit more information about kind of where this stuff is coming from. And we have this other lovers card. So the first thing that I feel with this card is that, you know, and this is very common, is that we kind of believe in this like rom-com love that we were sort of taught to believe in. Like, you find the one and you have your white picket fence and like everything is perfect. And it's like, we sort of have all been fed certain beliefs about love and romantic relationship or life partnership. And some of that seems to have gotten in. And it's not that I'm not saying like don't believe in the magic of love or in having a long-term, beautiful, happy, harmonious relationship, but there may be some stuff going on here where it's almost like it's like some unrealistic stuff, or like there's a bit of a dream here that, like, again, I don't want to say like, if you're like, I've always dreamed of this kind of relationship, go ahead and dream of it. But there seems to be a dreamy quality where it's a little bit lost in, again, it makes me think of potential rather than reality. And I wonder if possibly for some of you, you had a parent that, maybe if your parents weren't together and one of them kept getting into relationships where they saw the potential in another person, and you as a kid saw that this person was not up to the potential that your parent thought they had, or something like this where it was modeled for you as a kid, where you kept seeing this over and over. And so you're maybe, without realizing, kind of having this same pattern. That could be the case for some of you. And it is possible, like I said, with kind of like unrealistic expectations. I'm not saying that you do across the board, but there could be something there where you're dreaming of a perfect love, where it is like 100% perfect. And that when someone doesn't live up to that perfection, then you may get upset. I don't think that's going to be for everybody. It might just be for someone out there. But that could be happening too, where your expectations are a little unrealistic. But I actually think for most people, you're just wanting something good, and you're wanting something kind of normal, and you're just wanting someone to match your level of love and care, and that you just unfortunately have dealt with quite a few duds or people who are incapable of giving in that way. And there are so many people in this world that are incapable of being good partners. That's not your fault. It's their problem. Unfortunately, it's become your problem a little bit because you've dealt with people like this, which is unfair and stupid. I think it's not really even important where it came from. I do think some of this came from childhood, and that there are patterns that are happening, and there's certainly a cycle here that's happening. But it's more about your belief in people, and they don't deserve it. That's really what it comes down to. And again, I don't think you're not doing something wrong. It's just that you're a really hopeful and sweet and loving person, and that you deserve to have that in return. And so you deserve to choose yourself. You deserve to have what you want. And so there may be some hard choices where even right now, you may have some people that you're still giving chances to. This can also be outside of a romantic relationship. So you could be thinking through other relationships you have in your life, family relationships, friend relationships, even people at work that you're not friends with, that you deal with, people who you're giving a lot of chances to, you're being overly nice to, who have kind of proven themselves to not be worthy of so much of your time and energy. And I'm not saying you have to like cut a bunch of people out. Maybe you'll know better than I do. But there may be some realizations here around who deserves your time and energy, because I think some stronger, clearer boundaries are in store for you, and really, really choosing yourself. I think sometimes, it feels like it might be lonely if we let people go. But, there's been times where I felt deeply lonely in relationship to other people. And so I was even more afraid to let it go because I thought I'd be even lonelier. And then once, those people were out of my life, I actually felt a lot less lonely, even spending more time alone for a time. So I think sometimes there are some fears there too, which makes sense with all this anxiety here, not wanting to be alone, not wanting to be disconnected, and not wanting to make the wrong choice, and not wanting to hurt another person's feelings. I think that there's a lot of that stuff going on for you. And that really what's important is you realizing to such an intense, deep degree how worthy and wonderful and amazing you are, how much you give to others. I think sometimes you keep trying to prove yourself to others, but in reality, you're already wonderful. If they can't see it, they don't deserve it, okay? They need to work on their own shit. You deserve somebody who sees you. And, if you sometimes have this thought that like, you're not worth the relationship you really want because you're not ready in some way, I think you should write down a list of all of the wonderful qualities you think you have and that other people have told you you have. You know, loving, kind, smart, caring, like just, and go beyond that. And you can be like, you know, if you think you're attractive, if you have nice eyes, if you are creative, write down all of the wonderful things about yourself so that you have that list, because it will start to remind you of your true, incredible value. And I'm telling you, you're a wonderful person and you deserve to be around other wonderful people. And I think that you know that, but I just have to remind you. So let's come over here to the guidance here. And we have hematite. It says, ground yourself. We have polite declaration here. It says, you can move in whatever direction you need to accomplish your goals. It is time for you to get out there, claim what is yours, and stay in your power. And we have the 6 of Wands here. It says, you're kind of a big deal, so start acting like it. Cute. Okay. Well, we've got some different and similar energies here with hematite. Let's just go to that first because that's the simplest thing. Ground yourself. I mean, that's very basic advice, but doing grounding activities, I think, is going to be helpful for you, especially if you're facing anxiety and overthinking, because you're very up here in your head when it would be more helpful for you to be down here in your body and connected to the earth. So if you don't already know, ways to ground yourself are spending time outside, putting your feet in the grass or in the water if you're able to, if it's warm enough to do that, taking walks, exercising, meditating, like doing a body meditation where you focus on different areas of relaxing your body. Eating is very grounding, like having a meal, having a bath, or being in a sauna, or even like an ice bath. Anything that like stimulates your body is going to be grounding for you. You can also do specifically grounding meditations. And so this is probably going to be helpful for you and might calm down a lot of your anxiety, especially if you make it into a practice. So I highly recommend, because this is just big here and it's like ground yourself. So ground yourself. Okay. But let's move on to these. So yeah, you're kind of a big deal. So start acting like it. This is what I've been talking about. This is truly recognizing your worth and grounding yourself into your worth and your value. So any work you can do around increasing your self-worth and your value. And I just gave you a million examples for this. I maybe don't want to do that for this, but like, you know, whether you are, if you work with a therapist, maybe working on this if you haven't already, reading books, reading articles, like Googling things about working on your self-worth and your confidence if you haven't been feeling confident. Also, I think with this card, this could be about sort of refreshing your physical appearance. So if you have been feeling unattractive, which I have kind of been feeling, for some of you have been feeling like you're not yourself, you don't look as good or feel as good as you normally do, this is about revitalizing again, your body. And so if you've been feeling unhealthy, this might be about kind of like including more healthy foods in your diet, removing people from your life that are making you feel stressed or anxious or physically unwell, tending to your health in whatever ways that means for you, getting outside a little bit more, just really taking care of and loving your physical body, but also maybe getting a fresh haircut, getting a facial, getting a massage, getting some new clothes. You know, if that's something that you can do right now, it might feel really good to refresh your appearance. If you're someone who wears makeup, maybe like wearing makeup again or getting something new, like a new lipstick or something like that. Getting a new pair of shoes, getting a new sparkly ring, something about really taking care of your physical body and your physical appearance might be really helpful for you at this time, and can also increase your feelings of, you know, loving yourself and seeing your own value, even if no one around you can see it. But I do think you have people who do see it. And so if there are people in your life also that will lift you up if you need it, it might be time to reach out and say like, can you tell me things you love about me? And I don't think that's a crazy thing to ask. I think that people would love to build you up. And if you have anyone in your life that helps you to feel better or even makes you laugh, it's time to lean on them a little bit at this time. And really a lot of the work here is around your worth and value, and not giving old people chances anymore, or giving people who don't deserve chances, and being willing to see the bad in other people. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, But I think for you, it might actually be really beneficial to not to focus on the negative, but to bring those things more forward so that you can make a more informed decision, because everyone's going to have something about them that's like negative or annoying. But, is it something you want to deal with for the rest of your life? Assuming that people won't change. People do change. And when people change, great. But I think that your assumption needs to be maybe more on the end of assuming people will not change. So who are they right now? And is that what you want 20 years from now in all of your relationships? And I'm not saying you have to like cut people off. Maybe some people probably deserve to be cut off, but maybe, lessen your time and energy with some of those relationships. And if people change over time, then you can bring them back in. Finally, with this card, you can move in whatever direction you need to accomplish your goals. Yes. So, there's a million ways you can do things. It's really up to you and what feels good. So when it comes to grounding, when it comes to looking and feeling your best and your health and all of these things, you can try different things, see what sticks. If you have things that have worked in the past, maybe go back and try them again. But there's no right or wrong way to work on these things. And so it's really up to you and what feels good and what feels right. And, it may change over time as well. You can do whatever feels right to you because you are a unique person with your own needs and desires and all of that stuff. But it is time to work on these things. It's time to work on your self-worth. It's time to walk away from certain people. It's time to take care of yourself in certain ways. And claim what's yours and stay in your power. I think that it's time for you to be more powerful, to be more decisive, to be more clear-headed, and to do things that feel sort of selfish, because giving people too many chances, being too nice, those kinds of things are not really going to help you move toward what you want. And I'm not saying that you won't find love if you don't do these things, but this is going to speed up the process, and it's going to help you to see more clearly so that you can choose someone for the long haul that is actually for the long haul. So, if this resonated, you already know these things. So it's just confirmation for you. And I really feel with you. There's such a strong energy of you have so much love to give, so much connection, and that's not going to go wasted. But it's really, again, about standing in your power and taking care of yourself and seeing how valuable you are and not letting people who don't deserve it to be. I'm not saying like people are like you're above and they're down here. I mean, kind of, but I'm just really saying like some people can't afford you. Okay. You're expensive, and now start acting like it. So that's all I have for you today, group 2. I love you so much. Thank you for spending time with me. If you enjoyed this reading or found it helpful, I'd really appreciate if you left a comment or liked the video. It helps me so much. And I will see you again soon. Okay. Bye. Hi, group 3. You chose the Golden Healer Quartz. Welcome to your reading. We're looking at any blocks to the right partnership for you today. I want to start with an energy check, make sure that this sounds like your group, and then we'll dive further into what may be going on and what to do about it. So I've already pulled your cards. So let me lay them out, and the next thing you will see is them already, and then we will get into your reading. Okay, so group 3, let's get into it. So over here on the left, we're going to do a bit of an energy check, see what you've been dealing with recently or for a long while to sort of ensure that you have the right reading. And then we'll get into the blocks, what may be preventing you from having what you're wanting in relationship. Get a little bit more into that, and then we'll get into guidance here at the end. So for the energy check, we have chair filled. It says someone new is entering your life. We have mice, discord among friends or family, lightning, control your anger or you will be sorry. And then we have the King of Cups, always compose yourself before giving a response. Okay, so there's a few things here. One thing that I want to say might not be for everybody, but you could be constantly hearing in readings that someone is coming in. And so that might be part of, you're like, okay, I've been hearing someone's coming in, and no one has come in. And so there may be a little bit of frustration around that, but this could be confirmation for you where it's like, yeah, I've been told that over and over and over again. So I'm expecting someone to come in. But overall, I would say there is this, with all of these cards, I want to pick them all up, but you could be dealing with some stress in your relationships right now. So that's, friends, family, coworkers, whoever is in your life could be kind of annoying or stressful. So there could be some things happening where other people are fighting and you've sort of tried to become the mediator or the harmonizer in some way. So you feel like you keep getting a little bit caught in the middle, and that's been sort of stressing you out, or you could be having arguments or fights or disagreements. It may not be with a lot of people. It could be with one person, or it could be overall. You may be feeling more irritable than you normally are. Like you maybe normally are sort of this King of Cups energy where you're more emotionally mature and you let things roll off your back and you don't really have disharmony with others. And then suddenly lately it's like, you're having fights with people or disagreements. You're kind of annoyed with everybody and with their antics. And even if you're not in a fight, it's just you're feeling more frustrated with people recently. And you could be getting very angry, but I think that for most of you, it's more of an under the surface sort of irritation, or people are starting to see little bits of your anger that normally aren't there, or you're realizing for the first time in your life that you are angry. Like it may be that you always thought, well, I'm not an angry person. I don't really get angry. And you're realizing suddenly, maybe as you do healing work or something, that there has been anger there and that maybe it's come forward as irritation or frustration in the past, but you're starting to realize you are angry. You're angry around the way that you've been treated, or you're angry about things that have happened to you, or you're angry about the way other people act. Some of that could be going on. And, it also could be possible that someone new came in and brought this energy. But I think that this talks more about either what I said initially of like being told over and over that someone new is coming into your life, or you have this strong feeling that someone new is coming in and that you may be sort of clearing the way. And this clearing process is maybe not as clean and simple as you would like it to be. It's like maybe you're discovering, I don't want certain types of people in my life anymore. Maybe it's, I don't want certain behaviors or energies in my life. I don't want to put up with certain things anymore. And so there may be sort of this cleaning out the closet, and it's a little more chaotic than you would like. That could be happening as well, but you really seem to be trying to compose yourself if people are frustrating, trying to come from a point of view that is not angry or irritable, and you're trying to be peaceful before you respond to things. But I do think that you may feel very peaceful on your own. Like when you spend time with yourself, it can feel quite peaceful. Like your relationship with yourself, your time with yourself is maybe very restful or enjoyable. It's, you do the things you want to do in the order you want to do them. And then when other people are involved in your life, sometimes it's frustrating and you want time away, or you've been wanting more time kind of away from people lately and more time to yourself. Because I think that this group maybe has a strong relationship to themselves. And it actually reminds me a little bit of group one, but I think that you have such a coziness when it comes to just your energy with yourself, your understanding of yourself. And I think that maybe it occurs to you sometimes if other people didn't exist, you'd be completely at peace. But I think that you love relationships and you have people that are important to you in your life, and yet they drain you, or they're draining you currently. And not everybody, but some people in your life are quite draining. And I think prevent you from doing things that you want to do in the way that you want to do them. And I also feel like for some of you, you've been receiving some judgment recently where people judge you for the things you like, judge you for the way that you do things, judge you for your opinions. And it's like stupid stuff. And you're like, why? So I think if that's happening, it's kind of like, let me just be on my own, where like I don't get judged for every single thing I do. Because I think that it's possible you have some people around you that, obviously have their own issues if they're being like this, but it's like, who cares that this is the way I take my tea or my coffee? Like, who cares that this is what I like to eat for my breakfast? Like, why do you care? It's like, it's silly things like this. And that people seem to be a little stressful lately. I do think for some of you too, that you've maybe been living with people and you're not used to it. Like maybe you were living alone for a while and then you had to like move back in with your parents or move in with roommates or something. And, or you've always kind of wanted to live alone. And there's this, for some of you, this plan to move out, to move into your own space, to move into a space with less people. Or even like if you've been you were used to working from home and then now you have a job where you have to be around a lot of people and it's frustrating and you're trying to figure out how you can work from home again. There's something for some of you around trying to get your space again, and that it's been a difficulty, and that you dream of, these stars, and her hair make me think about the star and having dreams and hopes. And healing, and you kind of dream of having this serene atmosphere again. Or even some of you may be thinking of moving to a whole new location, and with this water out this window, like maybe you have lived in a landlocked city and you want to go move and live by a lake or by the ocean or something like this. So some of you may be currently planning a big move, or changing your whole environment. And maybe also because the people you've been around or the situations you've been in have been kind of stressful. And so there's this dream of having a more serene life, it seems like, or something that's more you, even if it's not more serene. Like maybe you're wanting to move from like a small town to a big city, but somehow you want to get into an environment that feels more you. So let's move into the energy of what the blocks may be that may be preventing you from having what you're wanting in your love life. Is it internal, external, both? Where it comes from? So let's see what we have. We have the Six of Swords here, the Wheel of Fortune, the Chariot, the Four of Wands, and then we have this Three of Pentacles here. Well, I want to start by saying some of it, for some of you, is trying to control this. So trying to control your love life, trying to maybe go against divine timing. Like maybe, this came up in another group, but kind of like, I want someone now. I'm going to go online dating, even though you've maybe had a lot of signs and synchronicities that said, don't do that. It's not the way you're going to meet your person or something like that. I'm not saying you can't meet someone online or you won't, but it could be something like that where you're trying to control things, even though your gut is telling you not to. Yeah. And I mean, I said this in another group too, but there definitely seems to be like a divine timing component here with this Wheel of Fortune for some of you here. And, I said this in that group too. Nobody likes to hear it. Nobody. But sometimes these things, especially these things that feel big in our lives, are a little bit out of our control and have to do with, quote unquote, divine timing. So this can be that, the other, like maybe you're meant to be with a certain person for a relationship, and maybe you've made some kind of soul contract or something and that person's not quite ready, or you're both working through things, or you have some type of thing that to heal or to work on, or some change that needs to happen in your life before you will have the relationship you really want. Like, you could just date somebody. Like if you just want to date somebody, fine. But sometimes divine timing comes in when it's like, well, I want a certain kind of relationship or a certain kind of job, something like where I really want it to feel this way and I want it for the long haul and stuff like that. And it's not that it's like, because it seems to come easily for some people, right? But for others, sometimes there are things that kind of like cogs that are turning in the background in order to line this up for you. And so sometimes divine timing comes in when it's like, this is a gift the universe wants to give you. We understand this is what you want. We want to give it to you. Maybe it was part of your life plan, whatever, but certain things have to be put into motion for it to come together. And, yes, you could do things probably to speed it up. You could do manifestation things. You could, whatever. But it does seem like there's some things in the works here for some of you, and that there's this really strong desire to move toward it, to move toward this Four of Wands, to move toward the celebration of being with someone wonderful who gets you, who's on the same level as you, and to move away from things that don't work for you anymore. It's not always up to us. You can do your part, but there's another part happening too. And I think like in some areas of your life where like determination and willpower and moving toward what you want and seeing the end goal and like preparing for it has worked. And it could be not a block per se, but like there's an impatience or something. I think that there's really a desire for change right now. And because we have this like irritated energy and this wanting to feel more serene and authentic to yourself and to have like peace and all of this stuff, sometimes with that, there's this desire to like move forward as fast as possible and to like clear the way and to get to where you want to go. And while sometimes that works, I think that in this case, it's not really helping you to get to where you want to go. It feels like you make more progress when you sort of slow down and do things that feel aligned with you that don't necessarily have to do with other people. There's something about your time with yourself, doing the things that you want to do in the way that you want to do them without listening to anyone else, like kind of just singing the song of your soul and picking up the thread of joy. What gives you joy? What excites you? What feels good in life that maybe has nothing to do with other people? What do you like to read? What do you like to go do? What do you like to think about? Even really tiny, small things like how you like your coffee. And if there have been ways that you've kind of always done things because it was the way you were taught, maybe now is a time to think like, how do I want it? How do I want things to be while I wait for things to be put into motion and put my energy more on feeling cozy and safe and happy and having everything I want. I think some of you may be realizing you always wore certain colors because it was, your family was like, don't wear bright colors or don't wear dark colors or whatever you've been told. Or like someone said once like, oh, you don't look good in brown or you don't look good in black or whatever. There's something around like, maybe it's not clothes for you, but if it's something like that, it's like, well, I've always really loved blue. Maybe I want to get this beautiful blue sweater, even though people always said I looked bad in blue. Something about kind of denying whatever anyone has told you about yourself or what you look good in or what you should do or shouldn't do. It's time to start removing shoulds because I think shoulds have been getting in your way. And honestly, some of this is less about partnership and relationship and just more about you and finding what's important to you, because I think that this also prepares you in some way for the relationship you want, because the more you are in tune with yourself and the more that you have this sort of protection from judgment and you are able to be authentically yourself and enjoy what is right for you and that you prioritize yourself and the things that you like and need, the more likely that you will show up this way in relationship, which will be really healthy and important for you and the other person moving forward. And so this might be part of why you don't have this wonderful relationship you want right now, because you're working through some of these things that actually feel quite small, but they make a big impact. So again, it's like, okay, if you have always been told you should wear flat shoes because it's practical. And you're like, I've always wanted to wear platform sandals. I don't know. It's like, okay, get them. Who cares if everyone makes fun of you? I know it's easier said than done. Okay. But there's something here with going your own way, doing the things you want to do in the way that you want to do them without a care to what anybody else thinks. And possibly limiting your exposure to some of the people in your life that are judgy or kind of mean, because I think you've had some people like that in your life. And I get energy from you that is very much not mean. And you may feel lately like you've been being mean because you've been more angry or been more boundaried or you've been doing more of this stuff and it feels sort of mean. I don't think you're being mean at all, actually. So if that's been happening for you, cut yourself a break. I don't know. With you, I kind of feel like, I actually expected in this reading to come up with like really big blocks. I actually feel like the blocks haven't been that big, but especially with you, I feel like it's tiny almost. It's like, oh, it's just a rock. It's not like a mountain you have to climb over to get to the other side of this path. It's like, oh, there's just a rock. You just keep walking. It's not even in your way, really, It's just choosing to keep walking, choosing to move forward toward what lights you up, and choosing yourself and the things that make you happy. And if you're like, well, the only thing that would make me happy at this point is being in a happy relationship, well, that's not true. So then it's time to look at what can bring me little bits of joy in my day, because those little bits of joy are going to add up in a big way that you don't even realize. So if you've been going about your day and kind of hating your day, what's a little thing that you can add that would make your day a little bit more joyful. And I know I keep coming back to coffee, but we have this, coffee or tea right here. So it could be like, well, I really love a certain kind of tea. I'm going to have it in the morning. And it's like, it becomes a ritual you look forward to. And it's like, what's another fun, happy little thing I can add to my day? Just tiny little things are really going to add up in a big way. But yeah, I get more anger. I get more irritation with you. And so I think that you're definitely feeling irritable with your life circumstances or with other people lately. And I think that it's very righteous anger, and that anger can be a good thing. I mean, I don't like feeling anger. I don't like dealing with anger, but it is sometimes important because it tells you where people are crossing your boundaries, or it tells you about your own preferences and things like that. And so I think maybe also you're meant to lean into anger a little bit as well. But I think that there's this really kind of like stronghold feeling of like trying to control things. And that, especially when it comes to your love life and trying to control, like getting to the point you want to be. And also just kind of feeling really frustrated with things and people you've had to deal with recently. And I think that, with this Three of Pentacles here, for some reason, I think that you've really had to pick up the slack at times in relationships where, you've had to put in harder work, or like people have really relied on you a lot. And maybe that's starting to get kind of frustrating because you're not able to give as much time and energy to yourself as you would like. And that, again, maybe you've always lived with your family and it's starting to feel like even if you love them very much, you're starting to kind of want things to be your own way because it's maybe limiting you from feeling like yourself or feeling independent or feeling like you know what's right for you or what's not right for you. And it's also possible that maybe you've already done this. Like maybe you've already moved away from certain relationships or kind of left the nest or whatever, and that you're sort of just figuring things out now. And it's like, oh, I didn't even realize I had these opinions or these desires, or I wanted things to be this way, or I'm discovering these things about myself I just never knew. So there's something about like self-discovery here. But again, I don't feel like you have these crazy blocks. I don't feel like there's a whole lot in the way from you having what you want, but the priority needs to be on you right now and what you like, even like decorating your space in the way you want, decorating yourself in the way you want, wearing the clothes or the accessories or the hair color that you want to wear without regard to what your community or your family or the people around you think you should do. And I realized that for some people, it's not that easy. For some people, you could literally be ostracized from an entire community if you choose to do something your own way. But whatever is safe for you to do that just feels a little bit scary, or you feel like you've been limited and now you want to be be unlimited. Things, with this Wheel of Fortune, things are growing. This seed has already been planted for relationship, and it is slowly growing and coming out of the ground and creating these deep roots. And so there's something that is literally in the works for you right now. So it's really more about you just doing what's right for you, prioritizing yourself, enjoying your peace, and working on your anger. And I'm not saying the anger is unwarranted or bad. I think it's warranted, but looking at it. Why am I angry? What can I do about this? Because the anger is telling you something. Either you need to spend less time with people, you need more of your own space, you need different qualities of people in your life, or you need better boundaries, whatever it is for you. It's time to kind of discover that and build something that is more you. And I think that you will have support in this, spiritual support, but I think also other people that will be either very supportive of the changes that you make and you may not even realize it, or you will draw new people into your life that will be very, very drawn to your authentic self. I do have this feeling for some of you where there are people in your life that want you to stay the same. And that's part of what has limited you, because they feel safer if you don't change. They feel safer if they have control over you. And you're starting to get to a point where it's like, I feel too boxed in. I feel trapped. It's like that kind of feeling a little bit like stuck by the expectations, and that you may be afraid of losing connections or losing love or care because of being who you are, or having boundaries, or speaking your mind, or looking the way you want to look, or making different decisions. And the truth is that if you live by other people's expectations forever, if you live in this zone that feels safe for them, sure, it's nice for them, but you would be giving a gift to yourself if you live the life you want to live. If we live in somebody else's box forever, it's not even good for that person either. Yeah, they feel a little safer. But if you are yourself, it allows them to be more themselves. It allows them to become less limited. It allows them to look at their own stuff and why they feel they need to control another person. So it's a gift to everybody. But I think that you're feeling agitated, or you have been, and it's time to like break free somehow. And that's really what's going on for you. And yes, while it relates a little bit to partnership and relationship, I think it's just more about you, and that there's things going on in the background. So this is just what you work on in the meantime. So let's look at some additional guidance here. We have love where you are, use your sensitivity to know when to act, connect your heart to your head when determining what you would like. We have Amazonite, loosen your grip. Let me get this hair. We have the Three of Swords, it's okay to cry. And with the King of Wands, share your inner candlelight bright enough for others to follow. Okay. So one thing here, love where you are. So this is similar to some of what we've been talking about. You're here right now. I know you want to be here, but this is where you are. So not only coming to terms with this is where you are right now in life. Things are going to change, but this is where you are, but it's also loving it. So finding the joy in your day, finding the joy in your life, making the choices that are going to bring more joy and peace into your heart. That's really important right now. It's accepting your current circumstances. And with that acceptance comes the ability to make different choices, and making the choices that are aligned with your best interests and what your inner self most wants. And, I do think a lot of you are very sensitive and very maybe emotionally tuned in, and very likely emotionally tuned into other people and have a strong level of empathy. And, a couple of these cards talk about that sensitivity, but allow yourself to come back into balance, because when you're very irritated and very angry, it's easy to do or say things that you may regret later. And I think that because you're sensitive, the regret may be a little stronger than it would be for somebody else. So this is about getting centered again into your center of compassion, your heart, and your sense of love for yourself and other people. And especially your sense of love for yourself before you take action. And both of these cards are kind of talking about this, like composing yourself before giving a response, connecting to your heart, and connecting your heart to your head about knowing when to act. So if there are things you want to do, things you want to say, boundaries you want to put down, get more connected to your sense of love and compassion, especially for yourself, but also for the other person or people. And then act, then say what you need to say instead of maybe being reactive. And it's okay if you are. I mean, sometimes that's how you have to set your boundaries and things like that. But there's a calming down here that's very recommended. And I do feel like there's so much irritation energy coming up lately for you, and that maybe that's unusual for you. But kind of calming down, giving yourself a little bit of time. You don't always have to say something that in the moment. Like, I know that people are like, well, you can't just tell me something a week later. You should have said it when it happened. And it's like, well, sometimes you need to process, and sometimes you need to think, and you need to realize, instead of like saying something you're going to regret. So I think that you're recommended to take a little bit of time here, and to also allow yourself to be upset, allow yourself to be angry, allow yourself to be sad, allow yourself to feel, upset about what other people do or think about you or say. Allow yourself to have the feelings you have. Again, I think that this is a more sensitive group. And so you may be very emotionally tuned in and connected to your emotions, and that's a good thing. And that giving them the space that they need and allowing them to be present and to come forward and be released is really important for you, and not squashing them down. And sometimes when we're really angry, there can be other things below the surface. I mean, that can be the case with any emotion. Maybe it's like, I'm sad, now I'm angry. When I go deeper, now I'm sad, now I'm angry, now I'm sad. But you are feeling things about the things you've been dealing with. So feel them. This is a reminder that your emotions are meaningful for you and that they're coming to the surface because they want to be seen and released. And then you will feel more peaceful again, because I think that, you quite often are peaceful, except for recently, maybe. Loosen your grip here is, just what it says. But again, I had this feeling that there's a little bit of controlling stuff going on with you. And I'm not calling you a controlling person, okay? But we all probably have our moments where we are trying to take the reins of life ourselves. And sometimes the easier thing to do is just to succumb to what is happening. And I'm not saying that you can't have feelings about it, reactions to it, that you can't change your circumstances, but there seems to be something about acknowledging what's happening, accepting that it's happening, surrendering to the fact that it is happening instead of denying it or resisting it. And then once it's like you release and kind of let go and allow your tenseness to drop, then you can kind of act from a place that feels more peaceful. You can make decisions because you can see more clearly. So there's something around like, where are you fighting your current life? Are you fighting other people? Are you fighting your circumstances? Are you fighting life itself? Release the fight for a second. If you can, let go of resisting it. Let go of trying to change it. You will change it, but it's easier to do it when you aren't mad about it. I hope that is making sense. But, this talks about release work. So if you are already good at kind of like tuning into yourself and letting things release, great, just do more of that. But you may look into ways of letting go, releasing. There's many, many techniques out there, books and courses and things to help you release and surrender and stuff like that. And I think, is there a book called The Surrender Experiment? I can't remember what his name is, Michael something. That's coming to mind. So that might be helpful for someone out there. Yeah. And then we have this like strong energy here with this King of Wands. And so it's not that I want to make sure that you realize this isn't about you just letting people walk all over you. And, the anger seems to be coming forward for a reason. That seems like a good thing. And it's bringing your power forward. But not acting from the anger may be helpful. Acknowledging it, letting it be here, and not even, because I think some of you are resisting the anger, especially if you aren't normally angry, if you aren't normally irritable. You may be resisting it because it doesn't feel good to be angry. It doesn't feel good to be mad. You're afraid of like how you're going to hurt somebody by being mad. Like you don't want to say the wrong thing. But the anger is coming forward, the irritation is coming forward to help you grow, to be more in your power, to have better boundaries, and to move toward the things that you really want, and to move closer to authenticity and being your genuine self in the world without a care to what other people think or want from you. So this is a positive thing, and that it's allowing your light to shine brighter and more uniquely yourself. Because if you feel like you're just a product of your environment and you're just doing what other people want, the time has come for you to live your own life in the way that you want to live. And that, there's not a lot here about the relationship that you will one day have. This is just a time to do these things, because then this light shines and allows the right relationship and person to find you, and who appreciates you for who you are and loves your power and your strength and your ability to be bold and your creativity and the way that you look and all of these things. So you're just you're already moving toward the things you want, but you're in this phase right now. And it's less about it being a block and more about this is what's happening. So just keep moving through it and allow yourself to be bold and brilliant and beautiful and wonderful while working on releasing and letting go and moving toward the things that feel better for you. So I think that's all I have for you today, Group 3. I really appreciate you spending this time with me. If this reading was helpful or you enjoyed it, if you can like the video, that's very helpful. If you feel up to leaving a comment, I would love it. I will see you again soon. Okay, bye.